If you love houseplants, you're going to love this video. And if you love houseplants and green stalks, you're going to love this video even more. Because today I'm going to be introducing you to my sunroom houseplants, and I've got 4 very special friends I want you to meet. Plus, we're going to be planting up a green stalk. So let's get on with it. Hey folks, if we haven't met before, my name is Tara. I garden in the Bay Area, and maybe you found my video because I have 15 green stalks and I have documented all kinds of tips, tricks, and how-tos on how to get the most out of it, and you want to learn about green stalk. Or maybe you found my video because GreenStalk sent out an email just today, January 25th, 2026, where they shared a featured video of my review of their newest product, the Ultimate Mover. Now they come in 4 colors, and I have all 4 colors. I've got them all set up in different configurations. So go ahead and check out that review when you get a chance. But today I actually want to introduce them to you by name because, yeah, I actually named them. I've gotten really attached to them. So let me turn around and show you my 4 new, very special friends. Meet Green Monster. Now, he's just a year old. He's just a baby, but he's already so tall and so large. And let me show you what he's been drinking. Yeah, this big boy is a Monstera plant, and he has been drinking away at this marula fruit and cream. And also some Japanese whiskey. Well, okay, I've been feeding him water because he loves water, and I love these little spikes that you fill up with water, and because they're made of clay, they kind of seep water into the soil, and he's been getting just the perfect amount of water, and he is really, really happy. However, I do tend to over love him, and as a result, all of that stuff that you see on the ground over there, that dirt, yeah, that's all water that's been splashing around and messed up my floor and baseboards. And this new addition that you see at the bottom is going to really help prevent that problem in the future because it's got a nice little drip tray. All right, Ultimate Mover. And I can also move him around very easily. That's another big plus. But, oh gosh, he is heavy. I haven't been able to move him before, so I am really happy to be able to do that with the Ultimate Mover. Let me show you my other friends. So before I go any further, quick disclaimer. I am a relative newcomer to houseplants. I've been doing it only for the past, I'd say a little over a year, and I've already collected, I stopped counting, let's say, at 40 different varieties, and I had not yet even got to my succulents and other things that I'm growing indoors. So yeah, they multiply quickly. So anyway, the reason I'm sharing this is because if I get the names wrong, please do let me know in the comments below, and I will correct myself in future. So this one that is sitting on this stunning stone Ultimate Mover is my friend Snake Solo. Now, the reason I call him Snake Solo is obviously because these are all snake plants, members of the Sansevieria family. And I've got some brand new ones just a few days ago. This one is called African Spear, and it's really sharp. Ouch! And then I've got this one over here called Shark Fin, and from what I understand, he is going to grow really large and wide if I give him the right conditions. Now, he was sitting all the way over here on the top of this planter, not really getting enough light there. So I'm hoping that by moving him over here with some friends and some nice humid conditions, he's going to grow a whole lot better. And that's one of the things that I absolutely love about this Ultimate Mover. I've been able to consolidate plants that were sitting here and there and everywhere and put them into groupings, which I can move together just with my foot like this and try to avoid getting poked by the African spear. But I can move them to the perfect place where they will get the perfect amount of light. I can spin them around so that they get light in equal directions, all with the touch of the tip of my shoe. Anyway, moving on to Dragon Lair. Yeah, this is my Dragon Lair Black Ultimate Mover. Let's bring him closer. And he's got a bunch of randoms on him. This is Aglaonema. I think that's how it's pronounced. This is what is this? Umbrella plant. And you guys, one of my absolute favorite houseplants, Hoya. They come, oh, this is not it. This one right here. Hoya comes in so many different varieties. You may be familiar with the heart-shaped one called Hoya caryi, but you guys, it produces the most beautiful flowers. They're called wax flowers because they look kind of like wax, and they've got a sweet scent and a sweet little honey taste. They almost look unreal, and I am collecting. This is one of maybe 4 or 5 different Hoya varieties that I currently have, and they're all sitting together on Dragon Lair. And this was one of those things also that I love about this planter. I actually got the idea from one of GreenStalk's ads. They put a little froggy kind of thing it was actually a planter, but I thought, hey, why not put some of my little toys and statues that are sitting around? And these also were in places that they were not very visible. And now look at him. He's the star of the show. And then finally over here, I've done another interesting combination. I've got actually a stacked configuration with some begonias. These are angel wing begonias, and there are 2 types. There's this large leaf, I think it's called Coraline, and then there's the tinier leaf, I think it is called Madeira, something like that. Anyway, this thing grows really large. That's why you see this large pole over here, because actually, let me show you the other one that I've got. Yeah, right here. This is the parent plant from which that other angel wing begonia came. And this thing, I actually chopped it off at the top. You can see there. But it will grow and grow and grow. And it will probably grow way past the roof if I let it. But obviously, I don't want it to. So I've been chopping it. And the other thing that I've been doing is, you see how kind of sparse the leaf spacing is? There are big gaps over here. So the plant looks kind of skinny. And I've seen some other people kind of push cuttings into the soil and then they grow up, and then so you've got multiple plants growing and it looks a lot fuller. So that's what I'm trying to do with this. I'm trying to make it look a lot fuller. I know some of you are probably looking at my very pretty 4-tier grow station from Vago Garden. What I want to show you guys is this lettuce. Can you believe this is butter crunch lettuce? Let me pull it forward so it's not looking so bright. But lettuce loves bright grow lights. It's very close to this lovely grow light that you see on top here. And it's just massive, you guys. It is growing really fast. I literally harvest this every 3 days and it grows back and looks like this. And there's another one growing here. This is an oak leaf lettuce doing the same thing. It was actually a dying plant. I brought it inside and I put it under this grow light. My intent was, hey, I'll just harvest it and I will grow cilantro in here. But this thing is looking so healthy. I keep harvesting it. Looks even prettier after I harvest it after a few days, that I just don't have the heart to take it out. So it's going to keep growing there, and I'll find another place to put my cilantro. I've got all kinds of other things. I'm starting moringa from seed here, and I've got all kinds of cuttings that I'm starting in those larger giga trays also from Vago Garden. But yeah, this is one of my favorite acquisitions this year, this indoor grow station. It's doing really well for me. Oh, check out my vodka bottle. Single grow light. I've got some peperomia plants growing there, but look what it's standing on. You know that huge Kirkland vodka bottle? Well, after I drank it all, I made it into a grow light. Talk about great repurposing. I'm just kidding. I didn't actually drink it. I actually used quite a bit of it to make vanilla essence. Let's go back to special friend number 4 because I forgot to tell you his name. He is Double Trouble. Well, the double comes from the 2 tiers, but look here. You get 2 little frogs here. Now, these guys also have been sitting in some random place, and finally they get their own platform to show off. And I've got a few interesting plants here. This one is Haworthia, and it is a lovely, very, very low maintenance houseplant. Oh, it's actually having babies. But yeah, just watering maybe once a month or so. I soak it in some water, pour it out, and it's just really happy. This plant over here, I call it the Peter Pan plant, but I think it's actually called Never Never plant. So it's a new one to me. Not sure much about the care, but it definitely likes water and it's quite happy here. And some more angel wing begonia. It's actually Medora. That's the name of the tiny little one. So I stake this, and this kind of likes to do the floppy thing versus the large angel wing likes to grow upward. But they're both so very pretty. Look at those leaves. They also produce bunches of beautiful pink flowers that last and last and last. So, very rewarding plant. Get yourself some angel wing begonia if you can. Let me show you some of the other plants that are not sitting on the movers, but I figure, since I'm relatively new to this, either you, if you're new, can learn from my experience of what kinds of plants I have and what are doing well for me, or you can give me some advice if you're totally into houseplants. You can tell me what other plants I should be adding to my list. So let me show you what I have. This little guy over here, this is called a mistletoe cactus. And apparently it resembles mistletoe when it's got its berries. I'll put a picture on the side so you can compare. But unlike most cactuses, this actually prefers humidity. So it's a very young plant. I got it actually just a couple of weeks ago. And I am keen to see how it grows, and especially those pretty berries when they happen. This guy here is Gaster aloe, so that's a combination of Gasteria and aloe. I guess that's where the name's from. And it's great. It's a great kind of succulent for indoors because it requires low light and it can survive without water. In fact, you don't want to water it until it's actually crying for water, which is kind of what it's doing right now, completely dry. So, gotta water that thing. This here is Dracaena, and it's kind of got some leaf tips that are browning, but this was a plant that I actually saved. It was a tall, leggy plant that my friend gave me and said, hey, do you want to do something with it? So I just chopped it off, stuck it in some soil. Seemed like it took forever, but it finally started growing. And then another piece that I stuck in here started growing as well. So now I've got two Dracaena plants. But if there's anything that I can do to prevent the leaves from browning, let me know in the comments. And this gal over here on the top, her name is Oxalis triangularis. She is one of my absolute favorites because, oh my goodness, look how pretty she is. Actually, let me show you closer to one that I've got here. Very easy to propagate, by the way, and they just keep producing more and more horns at the bottom, little yellow turmeric looking things. And yeah, I share this with all my friends. It is just such a beautiful plant. Another plant that I am loving is Madagascar jasmine. Now, it's not flowering right now, but it does produce very sweet scented jasmine blossoms. And it's a tropical plant, grows well indoors. So let's see how it continues to do. This one here is philodendron. I think it's some kind of oak leaf philodendron. First time I'm growing philodendron, but it seems like it is really happy. I got just a small little piece and it just started pushing out all kinds of leaves. I'm not really sure of the growth habit. It may be a creeper, I think, but I am keen to see what this does because it is growing fast. This is some kind of jade. Grows very easily wherever, indoors, outdoors. This is my sad looking Boston fern. This was such a gorgeous plant just about a few months ago, and then mealybugs got to it. Oh my gosh, mealybugs got it and killed everything. And I've never had mealybugs before, so I do not know how to treat them. I think spraying it with some alcohol really seems to work, but if you've got any suggestions to keep the mealybugs out, please let me know. But this gal seems to be recovering. I can see some new sprouts coming out here, so fingers crossed again that she's going to come back in her full beautiful form. Spider plants, the ultimate beginner houseplant, and this one is producing babies too. Very, very easy to propagate, and you can't kill this thing. She just keeps growing and growing. My kitties love it. So I've got cats inside, indoor cats, so I cannot really put any houseplants in there because they eat everything. I don't know what it is. One of them particularly just likes to eat anything from the outside. So yeah. All my houseplants are going to stay in my sunroom where the cats are not allowed. And this here is a bird's nest fern. Now, this thing I just got on Nextdoor. Somebody was giving it away. My goodness, you guys, this is such a low maintenance plant. I was actually recently in Vietnam, and these things, or at least something that looks exactly like this, grow like everywhere. And they're huge, huge plants. This one is like 100th the size of the plants that I see over there. So maybe under the right conditions, this thing grows large, or maybe this is just a smaller variety. But one thing's for sure, it is so, so easy to grow. Does get mealybugs though, so I have been keeping an eye on it. By the way, I put some grow lights at the bottom here, and I have added some succulents. I've got a tray of succulents over here that I'm actually growing roots for a friend who's having a party not too far into the future. So I'm babysitting those for her. But look at all the varieties, you guys. I'm going to grow succulents more indoors because they seem to really like growing indoors. And look at that. That one over there is Louisia. I grew that from seed, you guys. Such a pretty flowering plant. I can't wait to see it flower. And it's not that easy to grow. So I'm going to be very proud if I'm able to get that to produce flowers. Oh, this one over here. This is an interesting one. This one is called Pregnant Onion. So you see over here? Looks like an onion. And oh, she's getting a baby too. Let me see if I can peel back the skin and show you. It's just a baby bump over here right now, but this will turn into something that looks like a little onion, and then you can break it off and plant it elsewhere. But no, you can't eat these, but they produce interesting looking flower spikes, and they're just an interesting looking plant and also very easy to grow. I've also got some Christmas cactus, or is it Thanksgiving cactus? I'm not really sure, one or the other. But one of them has, like, you see the leaves, let's call them leaves. They are kind of smooth scalloped edges, but the other one, see right here, it's got the little spiky edges. So not sure which one is which, but one is Christmas, one is Thanksgiving, but they produce very pretty flowers at certain times of the year, either Thanksgiving or Christmas, depending on the type. Another one that's really easy to grow is string of whatevers. This is string of coins, I think. I've got string of pearls, I've got string of hearts, I've got string of bananas. There's all kinds of them. They grow really, really easy. But what is not easy to grow is this ugly stick looking thing. This, you guys, was a fiddlestick fig that a friend of mine gave me and said, hey, try and see if you can help it survive, and I don't think it's doing anything. Anyway, I'm just going to keep it there for a little bit more till the weather warms up, and let's see if it does anything. Another difficult plant that I also got, which needed rescuing, is a calathea or prayer plant. I don't know whether it's going to come back. It's still green. I guess that's a good sign, but we'll see when the weather warms up. All these plants are kind of dormant right now because the weather is quite cold. I've got just a few more houseplants over here. These are actually planters that I got from the Dollar Tree store. I never had the heart to put them outside. I don't know why I got them in the first place, but they are not weatherproof, so they will crack, in a year or so. So I did not put them outside, even though I spray painted all of them with some UV protection spray, spent a bunch of money on that. I am still not planning to put them outside, but now I found a use for them. I am using them as propagation stations for my houseplants. So I've got this Never Never plant over here. I've got a bunch of different kinds of succulents. I've got a Hoya oblata, I think is what it's called. I've got, I don't know what that's called. Anyway, all kinds of succulents and things. This is an Italian air. It's actually a weed, a pretty noxious weed in my California garden, but gosh, it's pretty. So I figured I'd bring it indoors, put it in a pot, and then it'll behave. And this pot over here is really special. My mother passed away a few years ago, and colleagues from work sent me a container full of different kinds of plants. They need some cleaning, but this is an umbrella plant, and there was a peace lily somewhere in there. I think it's still in there somewhere, some English ivy, and yeah, I'm just trying to keep it alive because guess what, you guys? It's special to me. So let's go out and plant up that GreenStalk. But before we go there, I just wanted to say how much joy the space behind me is bringing me and how totally into houseplants I'm getting. So if you've got any recommendations on houseplants that you think I should be growing, please do let me know in the comments below. And now that I've got these movers, I'm able to move them around and I'm able to mix and match and do all kinds of fun stuff. And it's making cleaning up also so much easier because all I've got to do is kick them out of the way and sweep under them, or use one of those. I actually use the leaf blower in this room to sweep all the leaf and debris that falls on the ground. So yeah, let's go plant a GreenStalk. So while we're walking outside, if you had watched my review video, you would have seen that I actually had a blueberry colored GreenStalk on top of the blueberry mover. And now I've got other things on that mover. The reason is because I decided I was not going to do an indoor GreenStalk. I think I personally get a lot more value having my green stalks outside. I live in the Bay Area, warm climate year round, and I figured houseplants are fine in the pots and things. I needed my green stalk to plant outdoor stuff. So the blueberry planter is right behind me here. So let's go ahead and plant it up, and I'll show you what I'm planting and also how I'm thinking about this year's green stalks and how I'm planning to plant them up. So this blueberry green stalk is actually sitting on the original mover since I replaced it, and oh, it's full. But the capacity of this drip tray is much less than the capacity of the indoor drip tray that I just showed you. So that one is about 1.75 liters, which is about half gallon, and this one is about half of that capacity. So definitely the one inside is much larger, but this will do. And if it does overflow, it can overflow into the deck, into the plants below. I don't have a problem with that. So before I introduce you to the kinds of plants that I'm going to be planting in the GreenStalk today, let me talk briefly about my philosophy that I am using for planting in the GreenStalk this year, because every year I like to do something just a little bit different because it helps me learn more about what does well in the GreenStalk, new techniques on how to use them and get the most out of them so I can make videos for you guys. So this year I'm going more with sort of thematic GreenStalks. So say for example, I might decide to do one GreenStalk that is only flowers, or one GreenStalk that is just herbs, or one GreenStalk that is like a tea garden, salsa garden, that kind of thing. Or I might do some GreenStalks that just have varieties from one particular family. So I've got, for example, a brassica tower, I've got a lettuce tower, or a greens tower. So I'm going to try to keep them as mono as possible, if you will, because I'm thinking that maybe that might make watering easier, fertilization, all of that kind of thing, if they are all in the same general family with the same general needs. So let's see how that grows. I'll definitely be making videos on that. But for this one, so this one I'm actually going to be calling my mother-in-law's GreenStalk. Now, I have the sweetest mother-in-law in the world. I am very blessed. You know how the traditional daughter-in-law, mother-in-law relationship is always kind of, often sour. Mine is not that way. She's the one that has lived with me pretty much all of my adult life since I got married, and she helped me raise my children. She taught me how to be an adult. She taught me how to cook. She is the sweetest lady in the world. And she loves going around the garden and picking things and eating. But she's kind of getting up there in age. So I'm so glad that GreenStalk is really focusing on accessibility for people with kind of special ability needs, like my mother-in-law, because she can't really roam around the entire garden anymore. It's not even safe enough for her to do that. She could trip on something. But coming just to the single GreenStalk and harvesting some of the things she loves, like micro tomatoes. I won't be growing dwarf tomatoes. They just grow too big. Any tomato grows too big other than the micros. So I'll be growing micro tomatoes for her. I'll be growing banana peppers. She loves sweet peppers, Jimmy Nardellos and banana peppers. And then I'll be growing tulsi. Now, tulsi is a sacred Indian plant, and it's also a very medicinal plant. And she likes to eat a few leaves every day because she feels that that is great for optimal health. So that's what I'm going to be planting in this GreenStalk in summer. But I don't want it to sit idle like this until summer. So that's what I'm going to be doing today, is planting it up with some cool season things that are going to be pretty much done by the time I'm ready to plant the summer vegetables that I just talked about. So let me show you what I'm planting in this GreenStalk today. All right, here are some lovely plants that are ready to go. This is alyssum. This is Tiny Tim alyssum. It's actually from the collaboration that I did with GreenStalk earlier this year. I think the seed bundle is actually still available as of late January, but Tiny Tim alyssum is a sweet alyssum that grows very small in size. Now, most alyssum will cascade over and shade out a bunch of things. They look beautiful in the GreenStalk, but you have to maintain them and keep cutting them. But apparently Tiny Tim grows really small. So that's what I'm hoping to do, is see how it does in this GreenStalk. And then I've got pansies. Pansies. I actually got a couple of 6-packs from the big box store and I planted them, and I will show you how they're doing right now. Maybe put a little video on the side, but they grew fast, they grew beautiful, and they started producing volunteers. And I also took some root cuttings, and so I have been able to collect quite a few pansy plants from that little 6-pack that I got from the big box store. So tip to you guys, look out for the volunteers and then pot them up like this, and they will do well for you and give you a lot of free plants. And then there is one of my favorite bok choys, Purple Lady Bok Choy. It is well overdue to be planted up. Now, fortunately, because the GreenStalk seed starting trays have these nice slits on the side, the roots will not get root bound. I water them from the bottom and they are able to go there and get some nutrition. And that's why they are still sitting in this and they're still looking nice and healthy. Yeah, I really love how I can separate this out and walk away with it, or I can put this down here and then water it from the bottom. It's a really well-made tray. If you haven't got the GreenStalk seed starting trays, highly recommend it. And I've got all kinds of colors here. This is the blackberry, this is the cherry blossom, and that one is black. And I've got a few others as well. Anyway, back to what I'm growing. The last one over here is verbena. Now, you guys, I grew creeping verbena last year in my GreenStalks, and they did phenomenally well. So this year, I actually got a few additional varieties. I got seeds, and they grow really well from seeds or cuttings. Now, one of the things about digging up volunteers from your garden, especially things like pansies that grow in a little clump, is that you will often end up getting a lot of them in the same color. So I've got 3 trays of pansies over here, and I'm hoping they're at least 3 different colors. But I will try and make sure that I'm not putting them all side by side so that you've got all of one color in one place. But hey, if that happens, it's still going to look beautiful. Okay, so I lied when I said that all these plants are going to be gone by the time summer hits, because a couple of these, particularly the creeping verbena and the tiny Tim sweet alyssum, they're perennials. So they are going to last beyond the spring season. When the weather really heats up, they'll still be there and they'll still look beautiful. So I'm actually going to let them be. I'll try and see if I can plant them kind of on the side so that when I pull out the rest of the plants, they're not too disturbed, and I can plant my new ones in the place where I pull out the old ones. Let's get these bok choys in first because they are really raring to go. And, you know, the roots are okay. I would have thought that they would be more root bound, but like I said, the GreenStalk seed starting trays, don't let them get too root bound. A little bit of twirling over here, but for the most part, for this size of plant, this is looking really good. And there's actually 2 plants in this. So let's. Okay, I'm all done planting. Now, some of the plants were really, really tiny, so I've got to be careful with them, make sure that I settle in the roots properly. As my mother used to always say, give it some uiratani, which means water of life. That's as soon as you plant the plant, you need to give it a little bit of water just to settle those roots in, which is what I'm going to do. Yeah, my mother was my garden teacher when I was very, very young. She's the one that instilled the love for gardening that I have maintained throughout my life. Gotta wash down this GreenStalk too. All right, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you are as excited about the gardening season as I am. Follow along. I'll put lots of updates on how this planter and my other GreenStalks are doing. And yeah, definitely check out that playlist with all the tips and tricks and hacks on how to get the most out of your GreenStalks. And who is buying the Ultimate Mover? Let me know in the comments below. Until next time, live green and love your greens.